Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome back to our YouTube channel once again. And it is my hope and prayer that this video is actually going to find you guys in good health. Personally, I am fine. As you can see, Kisumu is also fantastic. And maybe you could also let me know where you're watching the video from, the county or the country, in case you are out of the republic. Ladies and gentlemen, yesterday the Supreme Court of Kenya banned Ahmednassir Abdullahi, the Grand Mullah, from ever appearing at the Supreme Court of Kenya. Ahmednassir Abdullahi is one of the senior counsels in the Republic of Kenya. And that move by the Supreme Court has actually elicited a lot of reactions from Kenyans. There are those Kenyans who believe that the Supreme Court ought not to have arrived at that particular decision, while there are those Kenyans who believe that the Supreme Court are justified because this guy has always accused them of corruption. But for me, I want to focus on the politics aspect of that move, because I'm not a lawyer and therefore I don't want to get into the legal aspect of the matter. And personally, I always believe that in politics, nothing happens out of mere coincidence, and that everything in politics is normally well planned, well scripted, and executed to achieve a specific political objective. Nothing in politics just happens out of mere coincidence. Let me take you back to 2nd day of January 2024. For those who remember, on this platform, I opined that William Ruto actually used that day to set the space or the tempo for the 2027 general election, and that the 2027 general election is actually going to be determined this year. On that particular day, William Ruto attended the burial, I think, of the Nyandarua senator's father. Was it the mother or the father? And William Ruto was so harsh on the judiciary.
Mimi nataka niwaulize watu wa Nyandarua, hii program ya housing ambaye itapatia vijana hapa Nyandarua kazi 5,000. Niendelee naye ama ningojee hawa watu watupatie ruhusa? Tuendelee. Kuna watu wakora wachache wameenda kotini, wakakutana na wengine wakora huko kotini, ati wasimamishe waendelee kuiba pesa ya mambo ya afya. Hiyo mnataka tungojee hiyo maneno? Tuendelee na hii program ya universal health coverage. Tupunguze ile nini.
And most Kenyans actually condemned William Ruto for issuing that particular statement. Then William Ruto, in his own wisdom, decided to go to Twitter. This is what William Ruto posted on Twitter, now on the 4th, because on 3rd, Kenyans on William Ruto, they were defending, William Ruto still continued with the attack on the judiciary. And then this is what he posted on 4th. Ahmednassir Senior Counsel, you warned me of sabotage by corrupt judicial officers. I told you there are many good officers in the judiciary and that we will root out the corrupt. We shall. Mwite Senior Counsel, the impunity of bribing judges so as not to delay or sabotage Kenyans' imminent transformation will never happen under my watch. Not a single cent will be used to bribe nobody. Mambo ya wafisadi ni yale nilisema. Basically, maneno matatu. This tweet by President William Ruto, if you ask me, can actually be linked to the move by the Supreme Court of Kenya yesterday. Let me just open my laptop here and read for you that communications. Because in this video, I want to reveal to you guys why personally I strongly believe that communications from the Supreme Court to Ahmednassir Abdullahi is a coded message which the Supreme Court are actually sending to William Samoei Arap Ruto. And by the way, before we do that, in case you're watching this channel for the first time, please take a second or two, click that subscribe button so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. And to the subscribers, I want to continue thanking you guys for your continued support, because without that support, this channel cannot be where it is. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, allow me to dive in. Let me dive in. And by the way, before I open, because I want to read for you, I want to go through that statement by the Supreme Court. I've seen various reactions to the move by the Supreme Court. And Ahmednassir Abdullahi has actually challenged that move at the East African Court of Justice. Let me just try and show you something here. There's a gentleman called Omwanza Ombati. That's one of the highly respected lawyers in the Republic of Kenya. For him, this is what he posted. The decision by a full bench delivered today by the Supreme Court of Kenya is troubling and bizarre in every sense of it. The questions that linger are as follows. Number one, did the Supreme Court of Kenya accord counsel a right to be heard before the dramatic and draconian communications was made by the deputy registrar? Basically, the thing is, the statement which I'm going to read was signed by the deputy registrar, not the Supreme Court judges. And is stating so many things here which I don't want to get into. For example, he's saying, what constitutional or statutory powers was the court exercising when it delivered the decision? None has been cited in the letter. So that's that. But if you go to another lawyer, Donald Korir, he's in agreement with the Supreme Court and he's also quoting the relevant articles of the Constitution. But I don't want to get into that. By the way, Ahmednassir has already instructed his lawyers. Let me read for you what he posted on Twitter today. That I have instructed my lawyers to file a petition in the East Africa Court of Justice at Arusha to seek legal redress against Koome's judicial skullduggery and niggling shenanigan. I will not waste time in going to Koome's corrupt court. So which means he has also gone to that particular court. But let me read for you this statement, and I want to link for you this statement to William Ruto, why I think the Supreme Court wanted to send a message to Ruto. This statement, according to what I'm reading here, probably if you can also just check it, the communications by Office of the Registrar, Supreme Court, Ahmednassir Abdullahi, 18th January. Headline is Communications from the Supreme Court of Kenya. This is what it says. I have been instructed by the full 7-judge bench of the Supreme Court of Kenya to address you as hereunder. Number one, over the years, you have, let me just make it a bit big, it's giving my eyes problem. Over the years, you have relentlessly and unabashedly conducted a campaign in the broadcast, print, and social media aimed at scandalizing, ridiculizing, and outrightly denigrating this court. Through social media posts, media interviews, and write-ups, you have accused the court either in its constitutive persona or individual membership of acts of corruption, incompetent, and outright bribery. This you have done with reckless abandon, paying scant regard to the reputation of those who tirelessly serve the court in accordance with their oath of office. Up to that stage, I agree with the Supreme Court. Ahmednassir Abdullahi has really sustained his fight against the Supreme Court. Those who are not keenly following, those who have not been keenly following Ahmednassir Abdullahi would think that the fight began with the appointment of Martha Koome. I want you guys to pay close attention to Justice Maraga during those times when he was still the Chief Justice. I think it must have been over 6 years ago, responding to Ahmednassir Abdullahi after accusing the court of being corrupt. In fact, at that time, I remember Uhuru and Ruto were really on the court, on the neck of the Supreme Court, and this was Maraga.
Corruption is endemic in our country. It is there even in the judiciary. For us to succeed and reduce it, every Kenyan of goodwill has to say no to it. In the last few weeks, Senior Counsel Mr. Ahmednassir Abdullahi publicly claimed that some judges of the Supreme Court were bribed to decide the Wajir gubernatorial petition in the way they did. I challenge him to file a petition and assure him that the Judicial Service Commission will take stern and appropriate action against those judges if given the evidence of alleged.
Which means this guy has really sustained this fight. Number two, the statement goes on to say, notwithstanding the damage to the reputation of the court and the judges who have served thereon over the years, both in its corporate and individual posture and in an effort to render justice to those you represent, the court has exercised restraint by not deploying the punitive tools available to it against you. You will recall that in its ruling in the case of Republic versus Ahmad Abdullahi Mohammed and Anor, petition number 39 of 2018, following sustained and unsubstantiated attacks directed by you against the court, you are cautioned that such conduct would in future go unpunished. We are talking of 2018. Because if the attacks are geared towards Martha Koome, 2018, where was Martha Koome? She was not part of the Supreme Court. And that's why these guys are taking us back that particular time. And it proceeds. The caution as recorded in the ruling above appear not to have had any sobering effect on you. On the contrary, you have persisted in your unsubstantiated and virulent attacks against the leadership and the membership of the court. The insensitivity and abusive arrogance you continue to display against the court in your subsequent media posting cannot be said to be animated by your quest for, let me hope it's continuing, for holding brief for you or acting pursuant to your instructions. Much as this decision is bound to affect those who may have instructed you to represent them before court, it is untenable that you seek justice in the very institution and before the very judges whose reputation and integrity you never tire in insulting. Up to that stage, they have already given the hint. And in conclusion, they are saying, attached to this communication is a compilation of some of the statements that you have personally been generating against the court, its leadership, and the membership over the years. This compilation shall serve as an authoritative reference point for those who may seek to validate the proportionality or otherwise of the court against you. So basically, the court has told Ahmednassir that he will never appear before those judges because the Supreme Court judges are 7. These are the guys Ahmednassir has been attacking, that they are corrupt. So they have told him, do not appear before us. But for me, I want to look at the political objectives. Why I strongly believe that that statement was actually meant to send a message to William Ruto. Number one, the move by the Supreme Court to stop Ahmednassir Abdullahi from appearing before the Supreme Court simply means that they were also sending a message to the government of the Republic of Kenya that they will not allow any government cases against them. For example, if William Ruto is complaining that the rulings are procured, government bills, I mean, if the government will be taking any matter to before the Supreme Court, they're just telling them that if you are corrupt in your eyes, we are not going to listen to it. And I don't know what they'll do. I don't know. So if certain matters will go until the table of these courts, for example, William Ruto just bulldozed the issue of, is it the housing levy or is it the health insurance, where the court have now decided that, okay, let Kenyans pay. But the truth is, the message is clear, that whatever we have done to this guy, we can also refuse that no government bill or case will be listened to by the corrupt judges for that matter. Number two, I'm also looking at it as a warning to William Ruto's government to stop blanket condemnation of the judiciary. You listen to Ichung'wah, you listen to Ruto, you listen to the majority leader at the National Assembly, at the Senate, Aaron Cheruiyot, all of them are attacking the judiciary. All of them. These are government officials. All of them. So the Supreme Court is telling them, you saw what we did to that lawyer. We are going to do it to you. We don't want any blanket condemnation. If you have any issue, please follow the right direction, just the way they told Rigathi Gachagua, and then Rigathi Gachagua chickened out. And lastly, if you ask me, the Supreme Court or the judiciary is also sending a message to Kenya Kwanza that they will no longer treat the government with kids' glove. The truth of the matter is that since the last election, the judiciary has been so lenient to Kenya Kwanza government. And personally, I was wondering why William Ruto and Kenya Kwanza government would actually attack the judiciary. Because majority of Azimio supporters believe up to this point that the Supreme Court were bribed. They accepted the verdict, but they believe. So if William Ruto is talking about bribery, what is he telling the Supreme Court? So the Supreme Court is telling them, no, it's no longer going to be that way. We are not going to allow you to do that. Let me hear your thoughts on that. But for me, I think the Supreme Court delivered a coded message to William Ruto and Kenya Kwanza government through Ahmednassir Abdullahi. Until next time, this is Makwiny. Bye-bye.